officers to be on the street fighting crime. And instead, we have several officers that are riding around.
The self-declared supermayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard, has come under heavy fire and resignation calls after her popularity fell precipitously. Despite initial suspicions, residents and officials are now questioning her leadership and actions, after she was accused of money laundering and misusing public funds to fund an extravagant lifestyle. These accusations paint a damning picture of a leader who allegedly used her position for personal gain, stealing from residents, firing staff who disagreed with her, and abusing her authority to obtain sensitive information about political rivals. The most concerning claims are that Henyard misused public resources, including hiring a sizable personal security detail that distracted police attention from actual criminal activities in the town. One particularly unsettling claim involves the dismissal of a police officer who questioned or took action that raised concerns about Henyard's pattern of retaliatory behavior and abuse of power. As more information becomes available, public outrage has increased, and the demand for accountability has grown. The township supervisors of Norden have denounced her unethical and possibly illegal behavior that has harmed Dalton's reputation. As they seek justice and transparency, the people of Dalton are demanding a thorough investigation into our actions. They also want a leader removed who they believe has betrayed the community's trust and failed to fulfill a mandate she was elected to fulfill. This evolving situation exposes the serious abuse of public office and leaves the town deeply divided as they search for a way forward.
Very stressed and critical to the point of almost break.
Robert Collins, a former Dalton police chief who was recently sacked by Mayor Tiffany Henyard, spoke to us from Florida, where he started a new position late last year.
Wrong is wrong, and there's a time to hold people responsible and accountable for.
Through an open record request, a Fox 32 investigation last year revealed concerning information regarding Tiffany Henyard's use of Dalton police officers as her personal security detail. According to the report, the officers were regularly transporting her to her second taxpayer-funded position as a supervisor in Thornton Township in South Holland, driving her from dawn until night. As word circulated that Henyard bodyguards had purportedly obtained thousands of taxpayer cash under dubious conditions, the investigation found that the offices assigned to the Henyard accrued hundreds of hours of overtime, ultimately costing local taxpayers thousands of dollars. As the local community's suspicion and scrutiny increased, many citizens found it difficult to accept that the bodyguards could have put in such long hours without bringing attention to disparities in their compensation and duties. This sparked questions about the use of public funds, particularly when they could have been used to address more urgent community needs. When allegations of embezzlement of public monies emerged, the atmosphere got increasingly tense. There have been rumors that crucial police resources in Dalton have been diverted from crime prevention or other critical services to safeguard Henyard's personal safety. Reports that certain members of the Henyard security team had close ties to her inner circle, raising questions about nepotism and conflicts of interest, further fueled the scandal. With the disclosure of financial mismanagement and dubious priorities, more locals began to doubt the integrity of her leadership, which only served to heighten the public outrage. Calls for accountability and transparency grew louder. Locals began to demand justice as the extent of financial irregularities became more apparent. It was increasingly clear to community that these expenditures may have been part of a larger pattern of corruption. The irony of a town struggling with limited law enforcement resources while taxpayer money funded the mayor's personal security detail was not lost on residents who became more outraged at the misuse of public funds. Outraged community members banded together calling for full investigation into both the financial discrepancies and the leadership decisions that allowed such practices to persist. As a demand for answers intensified, it became evident that Henyard's administration was facing a growing crisis of trust. The public, now mobilized, sought significant changes, pushing for renewed commitment to ethical leadership, openness, and justice. The pressure on Henyard to account for her actions and explained. The ongoing misuse of public resources only mounted as a community fought for transparency and change.
The other end of that flight that's going to do harm.
Collins says he became increasingly frustrated because the mayor's detail tied his hands when it came to fighting.
Henyard, Tiffany. According to reports, Henyard's cancer charity raised a substantial $228,000 under the guise of supporting cancer-related causes, but the whereabouts of these funds remain unclear, raising serious concerns about their proper allocation. and use. This revelation has further damaged her reputation and infuriated residents who once trusted her leadership. The mayor of Dalton is under increased scrutiny as new allegations regarding her financial dealings and leadership continue to surface. Last week, a mass shooting occurred on SII Boulevard Rock, but it was Henyard's mounting legal troubles that caught the public's attention. She is currently facing additional charges of embezzlement. Many supporters and donors are now concerned about the charity's lack of financial transparency after making sincere donations in the hope that their funds will benefit those in need. As the investigation into Henyard's financial activities continues, suspicions have grown that she may have exploited her position for personal gain, taking advantage of the public's trust for her own benefit. Her inability to provide definitive answers regarding the $228,000 in question has only increased calls for a thorough audit of her financial dealings. The charity's failure to provide clear financial documentation has only fueled suspicions surrounding Henyard's management of both public and charitable funds. Residents of Dalton are now trying to piece together her financial transactions, and many have pointed to a consistent lack of clarity and possible financial abuse in her handling of public funds. The community's trust has been further damaged by the charity's problems. People are shocked and angry about Hen's leadership and the volume of demands for her resignation, finding it hard to comprehend how someone in such a powerful position could tolerate such moral failings. As the charity's investigation continues, other fundraising efforts connected to Henyard have also come under scrutiny. Many locals are starting to think that the cancer charity scandal is a part of a bigger problem in her administration, which raises questions about whether her actions as mayor and supervisor were driven more by self-interest due to the growing. Residents of Scandal are growing more adamant in their demands for justice and leadership reform, are advocating for a change in local governance toward accountability, transparency, and integrity. The public's desire for openness and charitable organizations, especially those that depend on public donations, has increased, and people are calling for more stringent laws and oversight to avoid future occurrences of this kind. Her tenure as Thornton Township Supervisor and Dalton's mayor was surrounded by allegations of financial mismanagement and corruption for almost 2 years. Now, federal agents are involved, with multiple sources confirming that they have been interviewing witnesses in connection with a possible investigation, and some local business owners who are upset about Henyard's actions have gone so far as to approach the FBI. An owner of a U-Haul rental and trucking company in South Riven, Dalton, said that his company was targeted after he declined to donate to a civic event sponsored by Henyard. He claimed that Dalton police harassed him and raided his business as payback for his refusal to donate. Public indignation has been sparked by this concerning trend of retaliation, as well as charity's financial mismanagement. The Tiffany Henyard Care Foundation is currently facing increasing legal action and has been ordered to stop accepting donations. The injunction was issued after it was discovered that the foundation had not produced the required documentation to show how the money it raised was being used to help cancer patients. This lack of financial transparency has greatly increased the weight of the accusations.
Because what we're not going to do is we're not going to be homeless and have her raising our taxes.
And you would say that you have good business skills, then you should take a look at the budget again. You are a public servant.
Against Henyard and stoked suspicions of mismanagement and misuse of the foundation's public funds, which it allegedly raised large sums of money under the pretense of helping cancer patients, but was unable to produce any crucial records or reports to support its financial practices. This omission has caused significant concern, especially among regulators and contributors who demand openness and accountability from nonprofits. The community members who donated to the cause thought their money would directly help cancer patients, expressed their intense annoyance and sense of betrayal. The case has sparked a broader conversation about the need for better oversight and accountability within the charitable sector. Donors and residents are pushing for stricter regulations to ensure that charitable organizations are held to high standards of financial transparency. Many people feel deceived by Henyard after learning about the injunction and are now demanding an investigation into how the funds were managed and whether the charity was being used for personal gain. As investigations into Hen's Foundation continue, the emphasis is still on determining the full extent of any financial irregularities and making sure that those responsible are held accountable. This scandal has highlighted the vital importance of ethical leadership, particularly in positions of power, and has sparked concerns about Hen's capacity to lead with integrity. The apparent abuse of public trust and the manipulation of well-intentioned donors is the direct cause of the growing public demand for justice. Many locals now view Henyard's conduct as a misuse of her position of authority and a betrayal of the community. According to reports, the FBI has been used electronic monitoring as part of its investigation into Henyard's alleged many instances of misused taxpayer funds for personal advantage. Federal agents have interviewed witnesses, including local business owners, former village employees, and at least one public official. The investigation is still ongoing, and it is unclear whether charges will be brought. But the growing body of evidence and the public outcry against Henyard's actions suggest that the scandal will have far-reaching effects. The case has sparked outrage throughout South suburban communities, especially in Thornton Township, where Henyard's leadership has come under intense scrutiny. This was revealed at a recent meeting to discuss the township's budget, which revealed the extent of local dissatisfaction with her administration. Many residents have been silently frustrated for years, and they are demanding change, greater transparency, and a renewed commitment to ethical leadership from their elected officials. The public's attention has been drawn to the Tiffany Henyard scandal, and it is evident that the inquiry into her financial activities are far from over as more information becomes available. The community, which was once optimistic about her leadership, is now demanding accountability, justice, and a change in the town's course. This scandal serves as a stark reminder of the value of integrity in public office and the necessity of improved oversight to prevent future abuses of power and public trust. The people of Dalton and Thornton Township are closely monitoring the situation, hoping that justice will be served and that their community will recover from the harm that Henyard is accused of causing.
At some point, there needs to be some oversight, and someone has to get to the bottom of what and why these things are.
Gonzalez is a Thornton Township trustee.
Once again, a long series, unfortunately, of things that just seem to be done incorrectly, or possibly.
Tiffany Hen's troubles have only deepened as new allegations continue to surface, painting a disturbing picture of corruption, mismanagement, and betrayal in the small town of Dalton with only 20,000 residents. Accusations of embezzling public funds have shocked the Titanic community, leaving many in disbelief. But these charges has only scratched the surface, a much larger and more troubling pattern of wrongdoing. The scandal has revealed that Henyard's actions may have affected those in the community, who were already struggling financially, with reports suggesting that she targeted vulnerable individuals to further her own personal gain. Accusations against Henyard are not only about embezzling public money, but also involved diverting funds meant for community development and support. These funds intended to help improve the lives of Dalton residents were allegedly funneled into Henyard's personal pursuits, creating a chilling image of a leader who put her own interests far above those of her constituents. The scope of these allegations, spanning both public and private domains, portrays a leader who abused her position for a personal benefit, showing a clear disregard for the very people she was elected to serve: the FBI and other. Federal authorities have now intervened, looking into Hen's financial transactions and other potential misconduct. Their involvement underscores the gravity of the situation and demonstrates that the scale of the alleged corruption has not gone unnoticed. As more details emerge, the once hopeful and trusting community begins to grapple with feelings of betrayal, frustration, and outrage. The residents of Dalton feel as though the trust placed in Henyard has been violated in the worst way. Possible reports indicate that Henyard leadership was marked by extravagant spending, questionable financial practices, and a tendency to prioritize her personal gain over the town's essential needs. These alleged actions have been particularly damaging the Dalton's most vulnerable residents, as Henyard is accused of exploiting people already facing financial hardship while depriving them of the resources they desperately needed. The diversion of public funds for personal use and the exploitation of those who needed help most have caused deep hurt and anger in the community. In addition to the financial mismanagement, Henyard is also accused of retaliating against those who disagree with her, further contributing to an atmosphere of fear and distrust. Reports of targeted actions against individuals who question her behavior have made the situation even more alarming. This toxic environment, coupled with the apparent abuse of power, has only fueled calls for Henyard removal from office and a thorough investigation into her actions. The fact that federal agents are now involved in the investigation signals the seriousness of the charges. Reports suggest that the FBI is focusing on Hen's financial dealings, including how she used taxpayer money and her overall behavior while in office. This scrutiny has brought the issue of local governance and the need for strict oversight, transparency, and accountability to the forefront. Henyard's case has sparked a broader discussion about the importance of ethical leadership and the dangers of unchecked power, especially in small communities where trust in local leaders is paramount. The direct impact on vulnerable groups, such as those who were allegedly exploited by Henyard, has been particularly devastating. These individuals, many of whom are already struggling, now feel betrayed by the very person they trusted to lead them through difficult times. The anguish and anger these affected residents have only intensified as they grapple with the reality that their leader may have taken advantage of their hardships for personal gain. As the investigation progresses, activists and community leaders have united to demand systemic changes in local governance. They are calling for stronger checks and balances to prevent similar abuses of power in the future. The mounting evidence of Henyard involvement in multiple schemes has made it clear that the breach of trust during her tenure as mayor was profound. The calls for accountability are growing louder, with residents demanding her resignation and a thorough investigation into all aspects of her leadership. The scandal serves as a sobering reminder of the damaging effects that corruption can have on a community, especially when it involves leaders who abuse their power for personal gain. The ongoing revelations about Henyard's alleged actions have rocked Dalton to its core, and the community is now reeling from the damage caused by her leadership. The lack of accountability and transparency has left many feeling betrayed and distrustful, and the need for change has never been more urgent. The controversy surrounding Henyard is now spilled over into the local fire department, highlighting the broader impact of her alleged actions. Adam Fick, a firefighter in Dalton for over 10 years, and the union representative for Local 3766, spoke out about the growing concerns within the fire department. He explained that many of the village's 21 firefighters are afraid to speak out for fear of retaliation. The fire department, like other public services in Dalton, has been affected by the financial mismanagement and corruption alleged to have occurred under Henyard's leadership. Fick and the union have filed numerous grievances against the village, many of which focus on financial issues and the misallocation of funds. These grievances are a reflection of the growing dissatisfaction among local workers who are directly affected by Henyard's decisions. The fire department, which relies on adequate funding and resources to ensure the safety of the community, has been left grappling with the consequences of Henyard's alleged misuse of taxpayer money. The firefighters' concerns about retaliation speak to the toxic atmosphere that has taken hold in Dalton, where fear and distrust now permeate every level of local government. The situation has become a rallying point for those who are calling for systemic change in Dalton. As more information about Henyard's actions continues to emerge, the demand for justice and accountability grows. Residents are demanding not only her resignation, but also the implementation of reforms to ensure that future leaders are held to higher standards of integrity and transparency. The community is coming together to fight for a better future, one that is free from the corruption and mismanagement that obtained the town's leadership under Henyard. The unfolding scandal has cast a shadow over Hen's political career, has brought to light the deeper issues of governance and accountability in small communities. The allegations of embezzlement, financial mismanagement, and abuse of power have sparked outrage and have led to widespread calls for change. The community of Dalton, once united behind Henyard leadership, now finds itself divided and demanding accountability for the damage done. As the investigation progresses, it remains to be seen how much further the scandal will go and whether justice will be served for the residents who have been affected by Henyard's actions.